Oh, there's a lot to that question.
Rise from your grave.
Good morning, and welcome to Rise from Your Grave, an early morning show to get the gears turning and, hey, maybe help make your commute a little less boring. Today's topic, the media. What's covered too much or not enough? What's wrong with it, and maybe even a way to work toward fixing it. All that and more coming up. First, let's start with an interview we did with Daniel Lee, a reporter and editor with a solid track record. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Daniel Lee. I've been a writer, reporter, and editor for several decades now. I started in 1986 in a small newspaper in eastern Indiana, and since then I've been a magazine editor, freelance writer, and occasional op-ed content producer for national newspapers.
Wow, that is quite the track record. So the big question for today is, what is wrong with the modern news media? Or is there anything you think that doesn't get the right kind of coverage?
Yeah, I would like to see the media cover itself more, because I think that really is one of, as I mentioned, if not the main topic, then one of the main problems that we're facing in this country. When we don't have a media that everyone trusts, whether you agree with that or not, it still cripples us as a culture that depends upon the free exchange of information.
So let's get back to that point you made earlier, about the media needing to cover itself more. Would you want to elaborate further on that?
I am, as you know, a First Amendment fundamentalist. I don't believe that any reforms that the news media needs to put in place should come from the government. It can't. It has to be done from the news media itself. And so we need to, first of all, start to study ourselves and understand exactly how far we have drifted from the ideal and start to get back to normal, because none of the other problems that we face as a culture can be dealt with without an active, efficient, and trustworthy news media, because it is the way we communicate as a culture about the issues that we face.
And this hyper-politicization and sensationalism that we're seeing in the news today, do you think this is a new issue brought about with the rise of social media, or is this a longer-running problem from the past?
It's just an intensification of the direction we've been moving for quite some time. A couple of things lead into that, as we mentioned before, the feeling that Donald Trump is such an outlier that it justifies additional politicization of the news. But also there are other situations. The climate change controversy, an awful lot of people think of that as being such an emergency situation that it justifies unusual efforts on the part
Danny
of the media.
Lee is a super smart guy, and I really enjoyed the insight he had on the past, present, and future of the news. But hey, now is the time for the part of the show where we get to see how many times Reddit was mentioned. All right, here we go.
I choose Reddit.
Mostly online communities. Reddit is a source where I get a lot of news from.
On Reddit by users.
Nah, I'm just playing. Besides, that could go on for the entire length of the show. I mean, who doesn't use Reddit? Anyway, we conducted similar interviews with people from throughout the community, and while I don't have the time to play the whole thing, I wanted to play a clip from an interview I did with Julia Fox, an associate professor at the IU Media School with a long track record in reporting. So, do you think there's a problem with the news media? Are there any topics that just don't see the right kind of coverage?
Yes. You might think that with so many more sources now available online, cable, etc., we might see more diversity in topics, but we're seeing diversity in partisan spin on topics, but we're still basically seeing, the same handful of issues as the news du jour, and other things not, as if they've gone away.
Well, that's our show for today. Thanks for listening, and good luck with the rest of your morning.
Rise from your grave.